Well, I'm back here again for another episode of the White Liquor Podcast. This time I have my adopted father, Roger Worthy, or I should say he's adopted me into his family as one of his daughters.
All right.
And I'm actually going to let you introduce yourself to the people.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm Roger Worthy. Originally I'm from Gary, Indiana. Moved down here in 1985. I've been here now for quite a while. And by the grace of God, the Lord allowed me to find a wife and a decent job where I'm now retired from. And I'm currently doing my retirement. I just kind of work with my music, where I work with a lot of youth, teaching music. We just recently got a new website where I get a chance to reach out to people from all over the world, basically. And you know, I thank God for from where I started to being where I'm at, as far as being able to bless me with the children that He did, and me being able to, by the grace of God, throughout all my past mistakes, being able to recover things that I at one time thought was lost, and being able, out of the 5 children we have, been able to put 4 of them in college. You know, thank God for that. You know, being a homeowner and among other things. That's me. You know, I love the ministry. Lord knows I love the ministry, and I think that should be the number one thing in everybody's life is salvation. So enough for me, and then
I'm just laughing because you know, church folks always gonna find a way. They gonna talk about God.
That's something that should you gotta put that. You gotta put that in. That should be the first thing, especially when you know where you come from. Right. You know where your help came from. You know when you was down, where did you go to get picked up? And you know, everybody don't have money for $1 million psychiatrists and therapy and all that, but don't know that a lot of the stuff that come from the therapy ain't nothing but something that came from the Word of God anyway. It came from Scripture. They just rewrote it and made all kinds of life books about it. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, so that's just where we at.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, speaking about where you came from, I want to talk about your experience with fatherhood from a child's perspective. So what was your father like? Was he around? You know?
Well, my father, I'm going to tell you, my father was, I would say, more of an entrepreneur. You know, he always basically, as far as I know, most of the time he worked for himself. He had a few businesses. You know, I can remember when we was young, we had a grocery store up in Chicago on Division Avenue. That was years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and he's always kind of had a little store or something like that going on. But mostly, I always tell people, I said my dad was the first Uber driver. They didn't even know about Uber. But when it comes down to using your own vehicle to do, you know, provide taxi service, he was doing that way before they even thought about Uber. You know, they had their CB radios and they made it happen. You know, and I remember as a child, I used to, every now and then he'll take me out with him, you know, and he'd be riding, he'd have a hot cup of coffee. I'll never forget. He can drive through the streets of Chicago, hit all kinds of bumps and won't spill a drop. and that used to amaze me. But, you know, my father is always, I would say my father was somewhat an inspiration to me, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because he the one got me on this musical path. Because he was a unique guitar player.
Oh, yeah.
He was a unique guitar player. And he done some stuff with guitar. I never picked up. My little brother kind of picked it up a little bit, but he's a unique guitar player. He's also was my pastor.
Oh yeah.
He was my pastor. He's the founder of Willing Workers Church of God in Christ in Gary, Indiana. And it's still there today. One of my cousins kind of took over. And
so
they
you
still,
a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
What they say about
that's why you got these stories you got.
Yeah, and what they say about the preacher's kids is true. It's true. I had some run-ins and rough times or whatever, but I knew how to get out of them. I'll never forget my dad taught me this years ago, and I remember I would do it. I think I did it with a couple of my sons when they went off to college, and he used to have in his wallet $100 bill that was folded up real tight, and he had that stashed down in his wallet. And one day he showed it to me, and I'm like asking him, "What is that all about?" He said, "This is bailout money. You're supposed to always have this." See, back then, if you get in trouble, it probably costs a little less, a little bit, about $100 to get bailed out. And I remember that. I remember that lesson. I remember quite a few lessons that I got from my father.
Gotcha.
So it was a journey.
Yeah. Did you use things that he used on your kids, or did you choose not to do certain things that he did with your kids?
It's kind of hard to say because there's a few things you can pick out that he's taught me. One of the most important lessons that he taught me was lessons on like racism, and I'll never forget. He used to tell me. He said, "Listen, son," he said, "every white man is not your enemy." And he said, "Every black man sure ain't your friend." So, and I believe because he knew that way back in, the late 70s and 80s, you still kind of would see a lot of stuff. We had relatives, a lot of our relatives from Mississippi.
Gotcha.
And we would visit Mississippi a lot. And when I remember when we used to go, and they would tell me, you couldn't, them young white girls, you can't even look at them. And you ain't supposed to look at them.
Was it the 70s?
Yeah. It's still in the 70s. It's still later 70s and stuff like that. They was, they still telling you, you. But I didn't understand that from up north because it wasn't still as present or seen up north as it was when you go and you visit these areas, where it still was kind of strong.
Yeah.
And so that was probably one of the, and another thing he taught me was about my music. Because I would always ask him to teach me how to play the guitar. I said, "Dad, teach me how to play the guitar." And he might every now and then sit down and show me a little bit. Other than that, he'd give me the guitar and that was it. And I had to kind of figure out most of it on my own. He showed me maybe showed me a few guitars, but one of the things he told me, he said, "It's all right to learn stuff like this, but don't depend on this for a career or something like that. It's something you learn on the side. Don't get too into this, And I don't know if it's because his struggle as as a musician, trying to create a first album, which he did. He did a couple records. When we was coming up, he did do a couple records. But he was letting me know, you want to focus on education, and then because he I guess because he knew that's one of the areas that he feel like he missed out far as being able to get the proper education, and but it didn't stop him. It didn't stop him from trying to be the best father he could be. You know what I mean? But true, he worked late. We didn't see much of him. When it came down, because he worked it in the evening times, and when we came home, he was gone.
Gotcha.
And when we get up in the morning, go to school, I always remember if we need a little lunch money, we'll have to go in there in the room, and we'll wake him up a little bit and say, "Dad, we need lunch money." And he said, "Go reach inside my pocket and grab what you need."
That's nice.
And we would go and look inside, reach inside his pocket. And my dad used to always kept a big, thick stack of money. You know how tempted that was. But as Christian kids, I did now. I can't say about my sister or mother, but I would get, whatever we supposed to get, whether it was $2 or $5 or whatever. He would just trust us. You know what I'm saying? And to get whatever we needed. You know what I mean? So that and we that's what we would do. We like I said, at least I would get what I needed. And put it back.
Let's go all the way back to your first child. So your first experience as a father was actually with your. Well, I mean, with Darius.
Yeah. He was when we got married. Darius was 3 years old. But to be honest, I didn't really start working with Darius until he was 13.
Gotcha.
And because all that time he basically was staying with his grandmother.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Knowing what I know now, I probably would have done things different.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I only had him about 3 years, and then he went back, got closer to us where his father was, and then I don't think I seen him. He didn't really come back until he was, probably 30.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's a big gap.
Yeah, probably about 30. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah.
Okay. And he said,
Well, he's alive.
Yeah, he's
That's
alive, and that's the main thing. And one thing I tell you, if you wake up in the morning and the mistakes that you did yesterday, you wake up the next morning, you got a chance to get it right. You know what I'm saying? So it's your choice to try to fix. If it's something you can fix, try to fix it while we're here.
Gotcha. So Justin, your first true experience.
Biological. Justin was his name came from we being just in time. And when I say we just made it in time in the hospital, because I remember my wife water broke as she was coming down the stairs from our apartment.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and we got to the hospital, and I'll never forget, we called ourselves doing everything right, pre-registering and stuff like that. I got there. They had took her up already to admit her and everything, and the people that does the admitting or whatever, registration or whatever, I don't know, they lost the paperwork or whatever, and they telling me I wasn't registered. I'm like, I know I'm registered. Meanwhile, I'm downstairs while she's up there having my first child.
Right.
I'm supposed to be right there to watch. And I think after they started me doing the process again, one of the ladies said, "Oh, we found it now." They found it. So I drops everything and takes off running upstairs, and then
they only made you miss the first child
being born. The first child. I said, "Boy, I didn't know. He was already here."
They don't let you be great.
Yeah.
So what was that feeling like?
What was that feeling? Oh man, that is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome. I got to say, you know what I'm saying? But then the fear that kind of sets in. So now what you gonna do?
Now what you gonna do?
You gotta take care. You know what I'm saying? And I guess after after the fourth one I finally figured it out.
Was you still showing up to the hospital?
Oh yeah,
just bring it home.
I was at the hospital all 4 of my children I was at the hospital for all 4, and I thank God for that. Now we had one, your personal favorite, that literally was, I should say my wife literally spit this child out because that's AV, and he was always in a hurry.
Still in a hurry now.
He's still in a hurry. He was always thinking ahead,
He said,
ready for
the
next month, you know what I'm saying? He was skipping, walking. He just went straight to flying. And cause I'll never forget, my wife was on the labor table, and she said, and the nurse was telling her to hold it. And the last words we heard my wife say, "I can't hold it." And next thing you know, she just spit him out, and then I could see the nurse just kind of take a spin and just catch him right as he coming out. And I said, "Boy, look at it now." About 5 minutes later, or a couple minutes later, the doctor come running in there, still trying to get his boot, the things that cover his feet. He was still trying to get them on, trying to run in there. And I'm saying to myself, you don't get paid. She didn't want to get, she paid up. You know what I'm saying? But he was adventure.
He's still on the mission now.
Yeah. Always on the move.
No, we can cut this part out.
Yeah.
Which one is your favorite? You got to have a favorite.
You know what? To be honest, that's something if I did have one, I would never reveal it. I would never reveal it. You know what I'm saying?
So you might have one.
Yeah. But all my children are all different.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you can have children all come from the same womb and be totally different.
Same house, same mom, same dad.
You know what I'm saying? And have like totally different personalities.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now the next one will be Rocky. And they call him Rocky because he was doing a lot of punching while he was in the womb. Like he was trying to beat his way out of there. So that's how he got that nickname, Rocky. And then the last was
Princess.
Yeah, that's Precious. That's Keisha. And she was probably closer to me than all the rest of them because she kind of took on the musical, love of music, now AB did like do music, but AB was more of a business, more of a business person, but so she was one of the reasons why I'm still teaching music today because she was my protege when I started creating my first lessons. Mm-hmm. Got them all wrote out, and I said I'm gonna try this. I tried it on her, and she learned how to play from my first music chart, which should be on sale soon. But anyway, and she's been playing with me, beside me in the ministry ever since she was, I don't know, about 16.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's pretty good now.
Yeah. She has a good ear. So she picks up stuff, pretty good.
So I hear that having a daughter is completely different from having sons. And so did she tug at your heart in a different way than
See, I can't. If she was one I can spank, or the rest of them I can spank or scald or whatever, and I can just talk to her a little rough, and she'll go to crying, and oh Lord Jesus, I have to come back another way, like, oh yeah, she would get me. I'm gonna tell you, she would get me. And the other one, they be crying, boy, just go on out of here with that. You know what I'm saying? So she would get me. And I would always tell my boys, I said, you got 3 of y'all. She better not come home with a damn scratch on her. Cause if she do, y'all about to be half dead. There's no way.
Come back with a scratch. Y'all ain't touched.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I remember talking to AV about some stuff he would be complaining about. He'd be like, "But Keisha do that," and the daddy don't never say that. She get on my nerves.
Oh my goodness.
I ain't say nothing. I say, AV, you sound like a hater.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean, you're not gonna treat I feel you're not gonna treat a girl like you treat boys.
Right.
Boys are supposed to make sure they stay tough. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think not being too tough on her, that she knew that I say what I mean and mean what I say. So that's the main thing that matters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Boys might have been just a little bit more hard headed. So you got to show them. But on the other hand, I didn't really have a whole lot of problem with them as well. I don't. I've always been that parent that I never believe in what you call that parental reason. In other words, when you say, just because I said so, that's why you got to do it this way. I like to try to take my time and explain why you can't do this like this and why. And I think that was more helpful than to just say, no, you can't have it, or no, you ain't finna do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'd rather just have at least try to explain it. You know what I'm saying? And then to be a lot of times coupled with the Word of God. You know what I'm saying? You're going to incorporate that in there. You know what I'm saying? Because you want them to grow up with how you say, the fear of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Have something that they respect.
Yeah.
If you grow up with not really having no kind of rules and guiding or something that kind of keeps you focused. You know what I mean? Some people just say good morals.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know about those morals that we are supposed to throw away.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, well, you don't throw them away. You just put them on the shelf.
You put them on the shelf.
You explore with some other things, and then when you realize, Let me go get these.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
And I would say, even for me, like I said in the beginning, being like your sixth child or seventh child, or whatever.
Yeah, they'd be the sixth.
Six. So I would, even when I was in college, I would still keep you in mind on certain things, particularly with that emotion versus logic.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite rules.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And till this day, I still have to catch myself. What this decision I'm about to make, is this an emotional decision? It's a logical one, especially when it comes down to maybe buying a new guitar or something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Logically, maybe I should go ahead and grab this one for about $600 versus this one over here, and it costs about $3,000. You know what I'm saying? Might set me back a couple car notes, but with this 6 months to a year, I'll catch up.
Yeah, well, being a father, what were some of the toughest times as a father, and how did you get through it?
Oh man, it's funny you said that, because the toughest time that I would say that I've dealt with is goes back to emotional decision. And the toughest time, I think, was making the decision on which
religious wise, where did I probably want to bring what kind of how you say atmosphere or doctrine that I wanted to hold on to. And I think at one point I kind of moved away from a doctrine that was better, I believe, for me, and moved to another doctrine that once it had kind of set in, it had affected the family a great amount, you know, and trying to get back, and how you say, get these, unlearn some things, get them, you know what I'm saying, to turn loose some, you know, things that maybe of that doctrine, you know, family as a whole. It took a minute. It took a minute, and I would think that was the strongest thing, my biggest lesson of life. And so today I always, that's why I teach sound doctrine right now today, because we, you know, it's not always going to be comfortable. You know, it's almost like they tell you about a medicine, those things that taste bad and well be the best for you. Or those things that don't feel good, you know, don't mean, you know, that it's not really good for you. You know what I'm saying? Just like exercise. You don't like it, but it's good for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As this guy used to say, it was called a necessary evil. And you know, so we have to learn how to deal with those things that seems like it, you know, it hurts, but at the same time we know it's better for us. And that was probably my biggest challenge, is not sticking to sound doctrine.
Gotcha.
You know.
So I remember you made a statement once about you being very intentional with your children and knowing them so well that you notice the slightest change in their behavior or the way that they move, or if you said if they hold their head down a little bit more than they usually do, you notice. So what was it about you that made you feel like it was that important to always pay that much attention to all of your children?
What I know is life brings forth many challenges, and things that might challenge you might not challenge the next one. Things that you may struggle with, the next one might not struggle with. And so what I do is try to be aware of all my children's struggles. And then when I see that they're struggling in certain areas, then if I need to step in, and that's what I do. You know, and you know, so I also, you know, like you were saying, like their personalities is all different, and what's the norm for one might not be the norm for the other. In other words, maybe one is normal for them to stay in a room all day.
Right.
The other one, you can't make them stay still. So if they're standing still, and that's not their norm, so I'm gonna pick up on that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I learned early that all my kids were somewhat unique in their own way. You know, and so and that's what kind of helped them get through school and everything else. You know, anything else that they take on, you know, I know where to challenge them at. You know, I know the ones I can only push but so far. I know when to stop pushing one when I need to keep pushing the other. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and it was funny. I used to tell people when I had one child that they could stay up all night and study, and they made straight A's. The other one, you got to go get your sleep because you can't function. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, if if you try to stay up like that, you know what I'm saying? One, whatever studies, one of them was strong in, but you got to pay attention to all that. Another thing I did was I also know that some of my kids was a little bit like me, and I remember they kind of felt like I was a slow learner in school. But what really was what was going on was my mind was always creating. So in certain subjects, it's just I would fail it because I was getting bored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I wasn't one of those child that you could just yell at.
Yeah.
And then once you yell at me, I'm done. I'm shut down. I definitely can't tell you what 1 + 1 is now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I done shut down.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I was one that my mind was always moving. So while I was not doing so well in general now, I was taking a class, electronics. I started taking up electronics because that was something I was interested in when I was young. And in electronics, you had to learn how to do trigonometry. I was teaching the class when it came down to trigonometry because it was like components is always moving, and it was like, and it kept you engaged. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
While I was making A's and B's in electronics, I'm still making these C's and D's in general math.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And so and like I say, so so when I had children, I tried to find and pay attention to not because you're doing so bad over here that you're going to do bad over here.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
We got to find out do you do better when you're challenged? Versus and so anyway, I had to take all that in account of what I'm saying, some of things that I had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I figured that maybe chances of my children dealing with some of the same things.
Gotcha. Okay. Something that they say about certain fathers who are able to take in other children that are not biologically theirs is that they are extraordinary.
Okay.
And so I know that you've adopted me as one of your own. You took care of your son, or Darius, you were open to it, I guess, but he just happened to be somewhere else. And then you have this young lady. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't need to get into her situation, but you adopted her also as one of your own because she's been with the family now for some years.
Yeah, I think she's been here in about 4 or 5 years now.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's hard enough to deal with one child of your own, 2 kids of your own, 3 kids of your own, 4 kids of your own. So what allows
I'm
you?
be at home right now.
Yeah.
That's time for me to examine myself. You know what I'm saying?
But what allows you that capacity, that big heart to take in other kids and all that they got going on, and that's not even your responsibility?
I don't know. I guess it's because part of it just having that natural love. You know what I'm saying? Just having that compassion and love. You know what I mean? But what I do, even though I do this, and maybe even beyond that, because I have my workshop where I have another group of youth that I deal with, is one thing I always keep in play is knowing the difference in the things that I have to deal with versus the things that I choose to deal with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it used to be a struggle where I put up with some things, and I have to say to myself, I don't have to put up with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and so I have to make it clear. You know, and that one thing I always, you know, in my younger days, I would probably raise my voice more, and then as I got wiser, I realized it didn't make sense. You know, because I feel like if I have to raise my voice, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they said, we have a failure to communicate.
Yeah.
You know, and but what I learned is to say what I mean and mean what I say.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm always gonna try to be one step ahead of you. You know, I had became the master of teenage punishments back in the day. You know, and because hey, I got like one I might take the phone from, but the other one it wouldn't care. You take the phone.
I'm talking about no way.
I'm talking about no way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then the other one I can take them Reeboks and put them slip and slides back on you.
I probably know which one that is.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, and let you go to school and them Goodwills for a little while. You know, you gonna straighten up. You know? And the other one might just take the Game Boy away from them.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one, I don't care. I don't care nothing about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so you know you learn, you know, but like I was saying, I think that just come from having a, I don't know, a good heart, soft heart, or whatever how you want to say, you know, and I think I have enough love in me to be able to, you know. And it's just, you know, something that I guess a gift, you know what I'm saying, that I can do what I can, you know. You know, I know where to cut off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know where to cut off. You know, only, you know, I can only, you ever seen a commercial where they got the kid on his shoulders, and he's trying to teach him life in just like 5 or 10 minutes. He's telling him never cross the street without this, but he said all kinds of stuff to his daughter. He got on a, you know, trying to teach her life in like 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, so there's those ones when I get a chance to talk to him, I just got to throw all the knowledge I can throw to him, because I ain't gonna see you no more, and I'm not gonna make this no happen. Because I gotta know that I deal with. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give you the basics, you know what I'm saying, you know, far as, you know, the foundation. I'm gonna throw this foundation at you, and hopefully you can build from there. You know what I'm saying? You know, whether the next ones, like yourself or something, I'm gonna explain to you how the foundation was built. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You know, give you a little bit more intel on why you know, this foundation works. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know, so yeah, you know, that's just part of who I am.
Yeah. Well, what do you hope for all of your children? Like, if you could say nothing else to none of them, never again, and you wanted to leave them with one piece of advice or one encouraging word or something, what would you say to them?
Never quit. You know, I would say hold on to your dreams and your desire. But the first thing I would actually really want you just let them know, always keep God in the plan. You know, that's the most important. Because I believe if you keep God in the plan, He'll direct you the rest of your way. It's only when you take Him out the plan. Remember, like the story I told you about leaving from sound doctrine to, that was me taking Him out of the plan. You know, deciding that I'm going to jump out here because, look, I ain't trying to hear all of this. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But I was young. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, and it goes back to why you said one of the lessons I tell you all of them is making decisions based on logic and not emotion. So those would be the three things. First, number one, is keep God in the plan. Okay? Second one, stay focused on your vision. You know, and the third one is always make decisions based on logic and not emotions.
Yeah.
I think you'll go a long way.
It'll be all right. Well, I just want to, because I don't think I say it enough, so I want to make sure I say it on camera so we always got a record of it, that I appreciate you and I love you because you have been more involved in my life than my own father.
Okay.
You have given me more advice, things that I can actually apply to my life to this day, and really the only father figure I've ever had. So I definitely appreciate you for what you give to that space in my life, and you're irreplaceable. So thank you very much.
All right.
And we're gonna wrap it right there. I appreciate you. Happy early Father's Day because it's really just right around the corner.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And yeah, that's it. All the information to find this guy and his business is going to be down below, so don't even worry about it. And yeah,
All right.
I appreciate you for this time.